So again, simple steps to reducing your insider risk. Step number one, kill all the insiders. People, they're a problem. Just get rid of them, eliminate them, problem gone. All right, no debating it. If you look today at virtually any survey, this one happens to be a Worldwide State of the Endpoint report, the biggest concern most admins have is the risk that's imposed on them by their insiders. In this particular survey, we're looking at 51% of those in operations believe it's their biggest concern. That goes all the way to 72% when you talk to the security guys. Again, a different perspective from both groups, but there's no discounting the fact that the insider issue is a concern among both operational and security personnel. The biggest problem we have with insiders today is, everybody's got that iPhone, they've got that USB stick, that device that makes it trivial for them to literally walk out of your organization with data. In another survey from Ponyman, 53% of organizations said they would never know what data was lost on a USB device. It's bad enough that your data can leave the organization without authorization on a USB device, but if a guy lost that USB device, if it's not encrypted, that data is very quickly going to fall into hands that it perhaps shouldn't fall into. Now, your typical data breach characteristics, 9 out of 10 data breaches involved one of the following: a system unknown to the organization or business group affected. Just no awareness that the system even existed within the network. A system storing data that the organization did not know existed on the system. This is actually a bigger problem today within the virtual realm. We have this issue called virtual sprawl, unaccounted for machines that just so happen to be running under that copy of ESX. A system that had unknown network connections or accessibility. Now, there's a number of tools out there you can buy literally to plug into a network to pop up an access point instantly. Is that authorized within your environment? A system had unknown accounts or privileges. This has been a problem that's plagued network security for 2 decades now. The bottom line issue there is we're not enforcing the rule of least privilege. If you take a vulnerability and you execute malware to take advantage of that vulnerability, and your user has administrative privilege, what privilege does the bad guy now have on your network? He's your new unauthorized administrator. If, in fact, he had a normal user's level of privilege and you execute the vulnerability, what level of privilege does he have? Effectively none. He's an ordinary user. In reality there, that malware is all dressed up with nowhere to go. You have to absolutely enforce policy today. A lot of people have really neglected the endpoint from a policy perspective over the years. The issue there was it simply took too much administrative burden to lock down those endpoints. It's been fully automated literally today. It's all mouse-driven through a GUI. There's no longer the administrative burden excuse on why you should not lock down your endpoints. Banning removable media, such as a USB device, simply doesn't work. They're simply too useful within the enterprise itself. Everybody has them. Everybody uses them. Banning them just does not work. I'm sure you know the military banned them here a few months ago, literally banned them. They had a couple of minor problems. The funniest one, of course, was the British Navy. Somebody walked up to a military computer system in the British Navy, plugged in a USB stick. Malware got into the submarine command control software for the British Navy. Are you aware that for a period of about 2 weeks, there was no communication from sub to sub in the British Navy? And it was all because of a USB stick. They would actually have to surface the sub and use a phone, satellite phone, to communicate from sub to sub. Again, all because of USB stick. Simply put again, you need to gain control of them. Eliminating them just is not in the cards. Solution isn't rocket science. Bottom line is you have to know and control all of your storage devices that can be connected to the network. You have to know and control all data transferred to these devices. Again, just because you have access to data does not necessarily give you the right to copy that data to removable media. Yet many organizations have no mechanism to prevent that from happening. Know and control when, where, and how the devices themselves are connected to the network. Literally every USB device out there has a serial number associated with that device. A fingerprint can be generated. You can then make an allow or deny decision based upon the fingerprint of the device. and know who can use these devices and to what end. You know, to me, that all boils back down to the rule of least privilege I mentioned earlier. Not everyone needs that ability to be able to plug removable media into your network. There's key steps to policy enforcement. Naturally, you need to discover all of those points within the network, assess your policy, understand and develop the necessary data flow policies. Implementation, of course, would be your next step. Follow that with monitoring and then reporting. It's a never-ending cycle. There's no one thing you can do to eliminate the risk of removable media within your environment. On the policy exception management, again, it has literally been fully automated today. The key there is to take the decision away from the end user. If you're going to allow that end user to use removable media, you should have a mandatory policy to encrypt all data that's put on that user's USB device. At the same time, the encryption key should only be known to the enterprise. Hence, if someone outside of the enterprise were to have access to that USB device, they'd never be able to unencrypt that data. So it's a second way to lock it down for yourself. So again, gain control of your removable media before it takes control of you, I like to say. Eliminate a major blind spot at the endpoint. You know, USB sticks have become the keys to the kingdom in many respects for malware today. Protect against data loss as well as data theft. You know, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but in a number of data breaches over just the last couple of years, USB sticks played a key component in it. They didn't get talked about. It was always the wireless network hack that got all the press. You know, wireless hacking is sexy, USB sticks are dull. But literally every major data breach that we've had for the last 2 years did in some way involve a USB stick. Policy management and control, again, it can be fully automated. You can apply whitelisting to the environment, and you can get that added benefit of enforcing that rule of least privilege with the granular security that's available within removable media control.